The 38 Smith & Wesson round, distinctively different from the 38 Special, offers some unique challenges and some unique opportunities in reloading. The 38 Special case is pretty good for a starting point. They're easy to get a hold of, and then cutting off about 1/3 of an inch, it looks like. That's easy with the Dremel. And then, of course, trimming. And the next thing will be to measure the thickness of the case. It's just a little bit long right now. We'll have to put it in the trimmer to be sure. But I want to check the internal wall thickness here. It's not too bad. So down there, even though I think I got the burrs out, about 10 thousandths. About 10 thousandths. So no type of reaming should be necessary to get that to work. And then working with a light bullet like this is a 90 grain bullet. So when we get through, we should have something that will work. Let's get it trimmed first and see how that goes. Now that that's done, it's possible to just take a quick eyeball comparison. You can see that the 38 Smith & Wesson case is quite a bit shorter than the 38 Special case is. Now to trim it, I went ahead with this. I've got the Lee Quick Trim, and I used the 9mm Lugar. So that should work. You can get pretty good results. I got this handle as a spare, and there's a bit of bracketing that goes on. I put some washers on here to make sure that it didn't go too short, because 9mm will take it down to, I believe, 7.754, and so that's something to consider. Another thing I did to make it a little bit easier, normally you have a shell holder that's got, the appropriate groove cut into it for the shell you're working on. I made a little platform type, it's not really a shell holder, it's a platform, and it has the same type of arrangement on the back for the button that a shell holder would have. And what I did was to cut that out of an existing bar of 4140. It's 3/4 inch bar. It didn't take very long, and I know some of you don't have a lathe, so you probably wouldn't want to bother with that. And to compensate, you would put something over an ordinary shell holder, but this just makes it a little bit easier, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute here, show you what I mean. But anyway, that's got us to the point where we've at least got the one case to start with, and we're going to make a few, and then we're going to talk about the bullet seating. In fact, why don't we go ahead and talk about the bullet making right now. Let's just clear the deck a little bit, and I'll show you what I've done for that. Now the bullet that's going to be used is, starting off with, it's going to be 38 caliber, and this is one of the finished bullets that I have. And the way that's done, this is a 90 grain bullet, and so the way you have to go with that, and I'm referring to the paper that the tinkerer has put together. So what we're going to do is swage the bullet to get to the point 361 that we need, and to get it to that point, we're going to need a very accurate hole. And the best way to do that is to get yourself a collar, like this bushing right here that goes for redding is exactly 0.361. And all you have to do then, if you're going to go very far with this, is get yourself an aluminum or steel block, drill it out to 3/8 of an inch so that it will fit the new die. That's what this steel bar does. And then I've trimmed this down, or ground it down, cut it down to go ahead and fit through this bushing so that there's plenty of clearance. And then on the end, I formed the comparable curve or ogive that's needed to match the bullet so that it doesn't deform the bullet by very much. And the way this is used, the raw bullet that's unsized is inserted into this basic die that we've put together here. and then on a flat surface like the anvil of a, could be anything, an anvil, or flat surface, solid surface could be your vise. That's what I use. I have a kind of flat surface built into the vise. And you put this in here and you hit a number of times on this punch until you've got the sizing that you need. And I wanted to go ahead and demonstrate that right now. It's a little hard to get it out. Let's get it out. That what we want to wind up with is the .361 bullet. 361, that's what I got. So I'm going to demonstrate that too. It's actually pretty simple, and if you don't, it saves trying to drill a hole to get that exact dimension. You would have trouble doing it. Now I have a lathe, obviously, so I'm able to get the ½ inch or so, slightly over ½ inch hole that the bushing fits down into. So that's just something to keep in mind. You can always get these bushings from some supplier somewhere. They're fairly common in the replaceable bushing die sets. So to demonstrate the use of the new die that I produced with the .361 bushing in it, I have a raw cast, fairly good 90 grain bullet with 2 grooves. It's a fairly small bullet to start off with. And then just press it into the die. Right now it is not sized and it would easily pop out, but placed on this clean flat surface, clean as I can get it, and using the punch that I produced, the idea is to form the bullet holding the die flat using a hammer. Has to be hit a few times in order to get the sizing. So here we go. That probably has done it. Let's just kick it out and take a quick look. Well, that time the whole bushing came out. No problem. We can just put it over the hole here and take it out that way. And that looks pretty good. Usually I like to try a second time around. The bushing comes out with some amount. You can see the hole that was bored here on the lathe. Let's just try it again. Push the bullet in. A little harder to go in this time. I know you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just go down and buy a box of loaded ammunition? You can do that. You can also do some other things. I mean, you can buy, well, I guess probably $500 worth of swaging dies. I've estimated 500. You check the brand. I think it's Corbin. There's another one, Walnut Hill. Anyway, if you just need to make a few, this should work. And that's probably enough. Bullet making always was the slow, hard way, wasn't it? Here, let's just do this. And that looks pretty good. The tip of the bullet hasn't been malformed very much because the ogive was bored in such a way to not damage it. And using a light bullet like this, I don't think you can get in trouble with any of your loads that you might produce. I'm not going to get into loads this time, in fact any time, because of liability reasons. But the tinkerer, in his notes that I put out there on the internet, he discusses some loads that you can use. I just realized something I meant to do. I've been showing you about pushing the bullet back out of here and causing the collar to come loose. Not what I intended to do. What I really wanted to demonstrate was that the bullet is actually, and after it's been through there a couple of times, it's sure easy to put in there. So you just push it back in. But what you really should do for basically the second pass, after you've done the swaging, you just push it all the way through the bushing. It should take only light taps to do that. And then, when you get the bullet out, you notice the bright rings around each side of each diameter of the bullet here. And that's fully shaped, and the only thing missing is the lubricant. I didn't do that. intentionally because I don't want to mess here. But that's the important point, is that you take advantage of the downward stroke to get the bullet out rather than push it back out, causing the bushing to back out. I wanted to mention dies because they're important. I purchased this set used, but I paid a new price for it, frankly. 38 Smith & Wesson is what you want. I did use the 9mm trim die, and that worked out fine with some bracketing. And everything in the set was fine except for the expander. The actual pilot here turns out to be for only 38. It's not really big enough to do the job, so I had to improvise a little bit for the video. I'm going to remake that part so that in the future there aren't any glitches with that. That's the only observation I have to make. And of course, a lot of years have gone by, and I'm sure these things sat on the shelf without any use. But these are the kind of things that you hit as a hobbyist and an experimenter, and I'm used to dealing with things like that. And here we are back with the original bullet on the right, and of course the manufactured and swaged bullet on the left. The only thing I didn't demonstrate or do was the lubing. I kind of left that for later, but just want you to know that it isn't impossible to make a caliber you don't have, and I'm sure you've probably thought about it before. It's more commonly done with rifle calibers. I've known a time when cutting various sizes down would make a lot of sense. If that'll help you in moving on up and you need to follow through, now you have some ideas that will help you to make some 38 caliber Smith & Wesson.